right, hello and welcome to Celtic Ligers, the podcast about finding out who killed Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah, Gareth.
That's for the final episode. You're not supposed to say it in the first one.
Gareth did exude jealous for his attention. We're in a car.
We're in a car in Cool Park. Cool by name and reputation, and James is just fucking deciding to... there you go. That's... Oh my god.
Yeah, here we
I
are.
wish you could see what's happening right now.
I'm getting comfortable.
It's a car pod. He has to get comfortable for the pod. He is lying down in the back, and yeah, it looked like for a second there like he was going to put his head where your feet should be if you were sitting in the back seat of a car.
Yeah, that would rule.
All the blood rushing through your head, all the takes that you have would be so amazing.
I'd be thinking it like 3 times the speed.
Yeah, so actually, will we thank our patrons off the get-go?
Okay, do you have the list?
No, so maybe not. Let's not do that.
Let's do that at the end.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, let's do it at the start.
All right, cool. And so you're moving again.
Yeah, this one's for Rob.
Yeah. We got apparently somebody heard James eating minstrels on the podcast.
And they were rude.
Yeah. It was pretty rude.
No,
even though... What? No,
Who?
I'm not saying... I'm saying he was pretty rude.
Yeah.
Even if I don't condone eating
good.
minstrels. Fuck. If he was a patron, I'd feel a little bit...
Yeah,
like,
if it was a patron,
you know,
I'd apologise.
Yeah.
But since he's not,
Yeah.
hand me those minstrels.
What the fuck? Oh, that's the new patrons. Where's all our patrons? Wait, are you talking about deleted pledges? Don't tell me. Joe Joyce is not in our patrons anymore.
What?
I can't see Joe Joyce. Maybe it's just because it's the last 30 days. But Joe, I swear to God.
Nah, Joe was putting in his time.
It's okay, Joe. Joe, you know, people have to leave the nest sometime, you know? I wish I'd pulled up this list.
I'll riff.
You riff and all. I don't even know how you figure out who your fucking pledges are.
Yeah, we should really know.
No, because the patron Twitter is really... Or the app is very bad.
Yeah, the app is dog shit.
Yeah.
Now, we're in Galway, County Galway.
Mm-hmm.
And this might be the last time I'm allowed to leave Dublin because of the racist lockdown measures. Because and I said this on Twitter and I'll say it again. Everyone always gives, well, not it, country bumpkins give out about Dublin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? Would you give me that, Gareth?
Country bumpkins.
Yeah.
Allow me this. Okay, for the purposes of argument,
For the purposes of
all of your countrymen, country bumpkins. Now,
Yeah.
continue on from that premise. Do you agree with that? Do you
Okay.
agree? I was like, no.
Okay.
Well, you're just not
Okay.
allowing for discussion or debate,
Yeah. So I refuse to debate you because you are acting in bad faith.
yeah.
So all your country bumpkin friends give out about Dublin because they're jealous.
Mm-hmm.
And they're always like, oh, I can't read the signs because I can't read, you know? My local priest isn't here to read to me, you know?
Okay.
And they're like, oh, I don't know all the guards individually, so they're being unfair. They're not letting me off speeding tickets, you know?
That's a pretty funny one, all right.
And so they're always like, yes, Dublin is getting racistly locked down. Yes.
Racistly
Yeah.
locked.
They're like, this is class.
Yeah.
They're like, this is more class than that, you know, tractor that my dad got.
Tractor.
They love tractor. They're like, yeah, we have 500 acres and we grow nothing. And we spend all our money on a combine harvester that we drive backwards. That we try to do wheelies in.
I wish I could, like, debate that.
But it's all true.
You know, there's like... So I live on a pier, and there's a guy who... he kind of, like... I don't know what he does. I can't figure it out, but he makes some sort of living off of the the ocean. I don't know, like whatever you call it.
He lives off the ocean.
But he's got like a boat and he does stuff. But
Sounds like he fishes.
But he leaves like I don't know what he fucking fishes. I know he's got like lobster pots.
He just
as well,
fishes for old
mussels
boots.
But
He's just like, yeah, I'm a boot fisherman.
But one of the things
one boot at a time.
One of the things I saw him do is he gets very kind of like he keeps the pier in an absolute fucking state. So he'll just like leave all this debris and shit around from whatever he's doing. But the thing that happens that I find very funny is like one day I was like just observing it from our window, and it's like he gets up at like 8 and it's like, slapping your hands together, right, let's fucking do this. And he's like, we're going to move these bales from this side of the pier to the other side of the pier.
Yeah.
And then it gets too windy, so we can't actually move them anywhere, so we have to dismount them from the truck and we'll come back again tomorrow. And it's like, that is unfortunately an attitude that prevails through a lot of these people. It's like, maybe the cost of living is so low that you can now afford to be like on a whim, just go, what's some fucking dumb industrial bullshit I'm going to do today, do you know?
Yeah, that's it. It's like, I'm going to move all this bag of coal from one side of the farm to the other.
Yeah.
But what was my point?
You were talking about how Dublin was getting racistly locked down.
Yes. And all the country bumpkins are like, score, this is class.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see how they get on now without us.
Yeah.
Without anyone set their rules. How will they survive?
Yeah.
There'll be these two, rural, I don't know, bog cutters. And they'll be like, one will pick up the other's, what do you call that instrument they use for cutting turf?
I have no idea.
Whatever that is. They're like wedge-shaped shovel.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other will be like, that's mine,
I see.
I brought that from home. And then the other goes, no, it's mine. So I just saw it. And it's mine. And the guy will be like, man, I wish we had a concept of law, But unfortunately, with Dublin locked down, there's no law and order in the country anymore.
Yes, right, yeah.
And one of them strangles the other. One of them, has watched too much Sons of Anarchy and just, runs over the other one on a motorbike. And nothing can be done. Nothing can be done until Dublin is opened up for business.
Okay, I've got these things now.
Where do they even do their shopping? Dublin. They make a day of it.
Thank you to the patrons. Liam McCartan, thank you.
Belfast.
Don't dox him. Claire O'Newlone, tell me if I got that right. Neil
See, this is the worst part. You're like, no, we're not country bumpkins. And then I'm like, so what's the fucked up shovel thing called? And you're like, I've never heard of it. And then one of our patrons has an Irish name. And you're like...
Irish names are for people in Dublin.
You're
100%.
like, Claro, whatever the fuck,
I don't give a fuck. I just don't even care. No, Claire, I do care. Sorry about that. Send us in a message saying what the pronunciation is, because I'm an idiot. Niall McGillicool, thank you very much. Paulie Doyle, Ronan Kerry, Niamh Kelly, and Joe Joyce. How many is that?
What am I?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 7, yeah. So it says we have 7, but there's absolutely no way to read. Well, not absolutely no way. There probably is. I just need to fucking write a list the next time. But it is truly ludicrous that there isn't just a button you press and it shows you all your patrons.
Yeah, there should be a holographic button, and when you press it, holographs of your patrons, appear around you. And it's like you're in bed and you're like, and you were there, and you were there, and you were there.
I'm just losing it. What do you today? Some days I have more difficulty than others keeping up with the mind of James Moore.
Yeah.
I'm going to read out some things I've written down in a doc.
No, don't do that.
Why do you hate that so much?
Because it's just it's not the way the human mind works.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Reading things.
Mm-hmm.
Just let the conversation flow, because I have something I want to talk about.
All right, will you talk about it then?
And then we'll just fluidly move through your list and my list.
Well, I can't even fucking open it.
Did you hear about the Clare TD? And he was like, did you hear his plan for reinvigorating the tourism industry?
No.
It was invite Donald Trump over to Ireland for St. Patrick's Day.
Nice. Very
And
good.
it's like, Donald Trump doesn't even know when St. Patrick's Day is.
Yeah.
He doesn't even know where Ireland is. He doesn't care.
Well, he was in Clare already, is the other thing.
I know he's been there, but like he doesn't know where it is.
Um,
No Americans know anything about Ireland. Even the ones who pretend to are lying.
I think that's the thing that I like about Trump is that he is like pure America. He's literally like, if it's not here, then who gives a shit? You know what I mean?
Well, do you remember he wanted to buy Iceland or Greenland or something?
Yeah, that's how he literally thinks about it. He's like, well, why couldn't we? Because we're
Yeah.
America. And it's like, you know,
They should. America should buy Ireland.
they should buy a lot of places.
But they should buy Ireland.
Um,
They should buy Dublin because maybe they'd fucking appreciate us. Unlike Bumpkinville.
You know, you're like one of those like ladies on Take Me Out that are reading out the lines. You know, I'm expensive. I'm like a bottle of champagne. You don't appreciate me. You know, I need to be.
That
I
line
need to be
doesn't make
waited
any
on.
sense.
I need to be like, you know, I need
No.
to be loved, appreciated, respected.
No, we're like an overworked mother who's like, I just want some basic fucking
an
respect
overworked
in this
mother.
house.
The most entitled,
And then-
spoiled brats.
And then the husband, i.e. the other, I don't know, 25, 31 counties are like, I do plenty for you. I wash the dishes when you beg me to do that, you know?
No, this is what you know. What you're like. You're like you are like a mother, but you're like the mother that's like you know, oh, like they have like a garden or something. Okay.
Yes.
And then they're like, don't worry about it. We're just like growing stuff out in the garden, and then you'll be there just trying to get by with your day, and then they'll come in and like, you know, there's a lot going on in this garden. I'd like if you could just like chip in a bit.
I know, we're
And you're
like,
just like, I never asked for your bullshit. You know what I mean?
yeah, but then the mother's doing all the emotional labour. And the country, the country people are like, oh, I grew a turnip.
No, the mother is
And they're like-
creating terms like emotional labor so
No,
that they can
no,
feel
no.
for doing nothing they can feel perfectly entitled. You
No,
know?
it's like, who
Or be put upon.
raised the farmer? You know what I mean? To grow the turnip, the mother, and
Right.
that's without, you know, Dublin. And we'll finish on this point. We'll move on from here. But without Dublin, the rest of the country will be medieval. So you had a list you wanted to talk.
Okay. Let me see if I can get. They're saying that my email address doesn't exist, which is really good. Do you know?
Yeah, we had an article for this one.
What do you mean we read an article? We did read an article. I forgot about
Yeah. that. What else happened?
All right, let's talk about the article. Why not? Huh?
Why not?
Why fucking not? That's what I say. That's what I've always said.
Yeah, that's what we always say. That's a quote. That's if you.
Interesting. Yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
What you did there was very... yeah, we read an article by Amberally Frost. I don't know what the title was. Can you tell me?
It's called #resistance.
I don't think it is it?
How we can shop our way out of Donald Trump.
Is that honestly what... No, it's not.
It was. It was about like, you know, you got to watch Parks and Rec because Biden was on it. You got to tweet 3 times a day, minimum. Minimum.
I can't get my fucking document open. This is annoying.
Just you got to tweet black squares 18 times a day. Constantly tweeting black squares.
Mm-hmm.
No, I can't remember what it was called.
Yeah.
But it was called. I gotta approximate it.
Yeah.
It was
It's called like #activism something.
It's called like the poison challenge, or maybe it's called like the paradox
Yeah.
of online activism. And it was a review of a book, but it went into a more general critique of online activism.
Yeah. I think one thing I don't like about her writing style is she has really like really edgelord analogies. So there was bits in it where she's like, and you can grow your base and all this, but like so can cancer. And I
Yeah.
was like, right, yeah, cool. So it's like, but it's so like pointless. Like, what's your point? Like, why don't you just say like it's bad? Why does it like like a lot of things grow. Cancer does grow, yes, but also plants and fucking
Yeah, she was making the analogy, do her point for her.
Yeah.
So it was about like she was comparing 2 or 3 groups. 2. It was like there were these people who written a book and they were like, online activism is actually really successful.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was one, it was like a Turkish activist who was like, nah, it's not that good. But
yeah, no, there was a guy, and because they cited this guy,
oh yeah,
but then they left out the other thing that he did, which was incredibly critical of social media
Yeah.
as a tool. And she was like, "Oh, it's telling that they didn't mention this because it goes against the thing that they're putting forward."
yeah,
And there's truth to that. But then, like, the way she kind of described it, the thing that they do, like, I actually agreed with like a bunch of it, but my critique would be just the way they I mean, maybe they have experience. I know she certainly does. She grew up in like a very conservative area of Indiana, or right wing area, let's say, and so I basically the way they we were talking about it on a previous podcast about RTE and the way they have this fucking slob that comes in, and they built their shows for the slob who comes home at the end of the day.
For the imaginary slob.
Yeah. So that's what I feel about her, like, conservative things. Like, no, you can't do this because it'll alienate these fucking dumb turds.
Yeah.
These people who can't hold 2 thoughts in their head at the same time. They're not online. They're not. Her version of the working class is like still like this kind of disgruntled coal miner, which is like, obviously they are there, but it's like the working class also encompasses like Deliveroo cyclists.
Yeah.
It encompasses so much more, and to kind of constantly be like, no, you're leaving out, it's a bad thing to leave out those people, obviously, but to kind of constantly insist that you have to cater to these people. It's like, they keep it's the same argument that people make where it's like, look, we don't have time to talk about transgender bathrooms. There's real stuff to be getting on with. It's like, that's what you're talking about is not nothing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, so I kind of find that part of her argument. And I also think that they constantly say this all the time. They're like,
Who?
but the Chapo kind of dirtbag left type thing. There's the phrase that she coined, where they'll be like, social media has absolutely no positive benefit, and it cannot achieve any progress or do anything. And I was like, I actually just don't believe that's true, because the examples I would cite would be in like Ireland, like maybe in the United States, where it's just so massive. Like, you can't you do a systemic change online, and you have these incredibly bad actors who are creating these kind of, oh, Kamala Harris, isn't it great that she's going to be the first, black VP? And it's kind of like it doesn't really do anything for people who are having their lives negatively affected. But when you see things in Ireland where it's like, I mean, it's just one example, but there is one of many, which is like people hearing about the Debenham strikes and going out to them, or through social media,
Yeah, I think I think social activism, I don't think it can ever really start online. Like, with all these things.
Right.
Because, like, online, you'll see, they'll be like, everyone will be tweeting about it constantly for like 3 days. And then everyone sort of wears himself out. And then it just sort of dissipates. It seems like the social media is best used to, like, publicize an existing real life form of action. Like, say if you look at CATU, Michelle's thing.
Yeah.
And they started a few months ago, and a lot of their work was like, quote unquote real, like in real life work. Like, holding meetings and like emailing and like they had like a stand outside Blessington Basin.
Yeah.
But then they publicized it on Twitter, and they use Twitter as a way to recruit.
Yeah.
So like, it couldn't happen solely on Twitter, but without Twitter, it'd probably be less successful. Or like,
Oh yeah.
it would not. It would be a lot slower to develop.
Well, I also think that the things that it really was about timing as well, as far as I could see. This is me just on, like, these people were putting in loads of work, and they also put forward. So you have something like Take Back the City, where it started off and it's like just straight out the gate, Frederick Street occupation, violent force against it, and then it was almost like it, despite all the attention and publicity it received, it kind of couldn't maintain itself. It was a great first effort and things like that, and it built the bones of something, because a lot of the people who were involved in that are of course involved in CATU as well. But the problem that I saw was that, like, what's the next thing, and how do you keep it going? And it's very difficult to keep it going when you have a group of people who are, like, very affected by the housing crisis. Do you know what I mean? Like, people don't have time to take out of their schedules to this is what I saw anyway with them, which was that there was tons of people that were struggling to make rent, struggling to stay afloat in the city, and then also kind of were like a handful of people that were being targeted by, like, huge media forces, you know, and that's not to say in a negative way. I'm just saying, like, you know, getting like constant requests for interviews and to go on these things and explain these points. It's like, where do you grow from there? So coming back at it the way that they did, they treated it seems a lot more thoughtfully, and they came at it with like a logo and a recognizable word attached to it, the union. Do you know what I mean? Tenants union. And then they did exactly the same. You know, they went out, met people physically, talked to them, you know, and amassed a list of contacts, and it was right there for then when something happened, like that Phibsborough eviction. Yeah. And all of a sudden I saw, like, you know, it was there for like these people who had amassed followings on Twitter, like Blind Boy, or like even I think Hosier as well, I can't remember, but like a handful of people were just like, this is outrageous, here is a group that's doing something about that. And then you have that infrastructure to be allowed for an influx of people. So to say, you know, to draw it back to what we were talking about, like, yeah, okay, maybe online activism by itself can't do anything, but her kind of very dismissive tone about, like, the Black Lives Matter movement, you know, when, you know, there's plenty of grifters in there, she pointed to them, you know, and they had like the safety box for, you know, like, it was, remember the some of the people they went on to, I remembered it very distinctly.
Oh yeah, they interviewed Bernie Sanders
in 2015, and then they kind of did a start, like, basically what Bernie Sanders did was they went up on stage and like, we want to speak, you know, and he was like, go for it. So they got the microphone, and all of a sudden it's like there was a lot of backlash to what they did because they actually didn't really have anything to say, you know. So the hashtag was kind of, I don't want to say hollow, you know, because it's not, and it's important, but the people who came up with it, I don't think that they were tremendously thoughtful themselves.
Well, yeah, I think it's like they saw the issue, which was like people have been killed by the police and black people have been killed by the police. But then they didn't have a clear set of goals by which you could say it has succeeded. So like the one that would be most common, like the most intuitive one is that, like, have less people been killed by the police, and I don't think that's true.
No.
So like, it's Black Lives Matter stuff seems to be more like venting of anger than like a political.
Well, no, it was in 2015, but now they do have goals. They're just not really being given the airtime or voice that they should be being, because the hashtag does a lot of cover for it. It's something that can be cynically deployed by, like, Nancy Pelosi or, you know, any of these awful people who just, like, make people's lives significantly worse. Like, you can chart a trajectory of, like, you know. Yeah,
they can sort of just symbolically nod towards, like, this is Black Lives Matter hashtag. And, you know, well, the ultimate one, wasn't it, like, Elizabeth Warren, when she was speaking online?
Oh yeah, she
she-
had BLM or something.
Yeah, she had BLM in the background of her shot. She was in a school
Yeah,
and in a classroom, and there were these building blocks, like the ones that children play with the
Yeah.
alphabet on them, and behind her it said BLM.
yeah.
So it's like there is just a sideline politician is making a fairly opaque reference to Black Lives Matter.
That's the thing that's so insane. It's
And,
like, yeah.
But like that's sort of, and then like, but with that sort of thing, no matter how overt it is,
Mhm.
unless they're pledging like action,
Yeah.
it's all equally useless. Like you have companies like Nike who would say they're like Black Lives Matter, but they're actually not doing anything to like stop exploitation.
Yeah, or like, Colin Kaepernick, and at the start of it, I don't know, maybe that was a bad example. I shouldn't even get into it because I don't know anything about sports. But
Mm.
this thing is fucking driving me crazy. Sorry.
What?
Sorry, no, yeah, yeah, I know exactly what you're saying, and and then the thing about it is, I mean, it's what we've been saying for
Yeah.
ages is like that there's an energy and it's palpable and people are really pissed off
Yeah.
and activated in a way that they weren't before, and they had like they're able to see transparently the things that were always wrong. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
But I think that with online activism, or
Mhm.
purely online, say, or online led, it's more easily co-opted by the people in power.
Oh yeah,
Because, like, if you are physically organizing in person, you always can refer to like the physical group. You
Yeah.
know, the people who are demonstrating, or the movement itself, or the parade, or whatever it is. But online, if it's all based around like a hashtag as a form of like symbolic protest, you know, you're sort of saying like, let's make this visible, will be our way of acting, like through a hashtag. That hashtag can so easily be adopted by like you see like the clearest way it happens sometimes is with the like most horrific examples. Like you see like Domino's Pizza being like, what's your favorite pizza
yeah,
when you're Black Lives Matter, you know, so
Yeah,
that sort
yeah.
of stuff, and that doesn't go down well. But
yeah,
the more subtle ones, like all these companies just saying Black Lives Matter, and then suddenly it becomes like a company-led effort, because the whole exercise has been, and I'm not just saying this about Black Lives Matter, like I think there's a lot of good work being done. So like, but like the companies, if you're aiming for like promoting visibility, the companies can easily just become the organizers of the visibility. You know, they're sort of like, yeah, we can get on board making this issue as visible as possible, and by doing that, they allow it to be discussed on their own terms.
yeah,
You know, because
yeah.
the online, when a protest is happening, like there's no visible leaders because everyone's just on Twitter behind a username, and it's just sort of very horizontal. There's no like one person organizing for the aims. So when a giant company comes along, they can very easily, because they're more visible and they have more money.
I haven't seen that happen. Like, well, I'm not saying it hasn't. I'm just saying that, like, when you were saying that, it reminded me in 2015 when the Kendall Jenner, isn't that it? Where one of the fucking Jenners anyway. They
Yeah.
were like, they did that ad, the Pepsi ad,
Yeah.
that was widely mocked.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think any brand has successful managed to capitalize on it. The thing that they kind of just indicate is, I mean, they
Well,
could.
I think like Nike coordinated with Colin Kaepernick, for example.
Right.
And that allowed Nike to become sort of like one of the big, Black Lives Matter companies, which is just it's a phrase that doesn't make any sense to me.
That's what I'm saying.
And
I mean, like, I guess maybe it's just I have such a different relationship with companies. I just think that they're inherently bad. Do you know?
I know, but like, people would then think, oh, Nike are the ones. If all else being equal, Nike is better than another company because it's Black Lives Matter, but it's not.
Do you think that that's true though?
What?
Like, do you think that people actually, Because I've never figured out.
Yeah,
I
no,
always think about it in
I
terms.
think like it's to say, do I think branding works? And I do.
Well, what I mean is like, it's like when Coke put so much money into advertising, and obviously it's omnipresent, and you're suddenly like, oh, I don't know, maybe there's a subliminal argument like, oh, I see a Coke, I want a Coke,
Yeah.
But what I mean is, sometimes I wonder, I used to think this anyway, which was, do you think that like a company just gets so big that you don't even need to fucking advertise it anymore? It just does its own advertising because it's so synonymous. Like,
Well, it's just then why else would Nike coordinate with people like Colin Kaepernick? If not, like, they have no conscience because they're not a person. So, like, they see this as a branding exercise.
Yeah. I just wonder, like, basically when the rubber hits the road, how much of an impact that has on other people. And I mean, I think it has a mental toll because it kind of waters down the whole thing.
Yeah, but one thing I think it does do is that it helps reframe the conversation and turn it away from like policy towards consumption.
Yeah.
And like there was that things do shift towards like you buy from companies that promote these values.
Well, the reaction that I've seen is that, like, people on the left hate it because they're like, this is a cynical attempt by a corporation. And then people on the right also hate it because they feel that shit's been pushed down their throat.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, there are, like, centrist dipshits who are almost beyond saving. Do you know what I mean?
Sometimes, like, it's just like when we were talking about the Parks and Rec thing.
Yeah.
It's like, that is the same idea. It's that you're sort of like Biden... like just promoting this sense of like liberal progressivism and like then Biden using that to promote his own image, it's
oh, that's true.
It's
yeah.
It's not as straightforward as like you're right, just because you see Colin Kaepernick wearing Nike shoes doesn't mean you're going to buy them, but like it just sort of helps promote this brand association that over time, in collusion with a lot of other things, people might even just think like slightly better of Nike because of that, They might think, oh, if they're the sort of group that, promotes Black Lives Matter, then they're probably less exploitative than other companies.
I guess they're just so famously exploitative to me, it's hard for me to imagine people, like
yeah, I know, but it is true.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I think that's a good point to make. I think that the point where online activism comes off as alienating to the working class thing, I don't tend to buy that so much because I think that like
they're all like there's like, I mean, no matter whose Facebook page you go on to, they post about issues that affect them.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
you go on like some random middle-aged woman's Facebook, and they're sharing things like this guy needs medicine, or like this kid needs this, or like that's another form of activism. It's probably not very effective, but like everybody now, exercises their activism online, whether it's for useful things or not,
Yeah.
Like people are giving out about like water charges, or people are giving out about 5G even. Like that is activism.
Yeah.
That is online activism. And I don't think that's like out of the realm of the working class.
Do you know that this is changing topic just a bit, but I saw a video there the last day, and it was like, people might have seen it doing the rounds, where it's like a Dublin bus and there's like this woman just being like full on racist on this bus.
Yeah.
And it just goes on for like a thread of videos, and she just is refusing to give an inch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Confronted with everybody on this bus telling her she's a piece of shit. She's like, you're all fucking wrong. And she's drunk, and it was just I can't remember what my point was with that. I guess that I just thought about 5G and like all this type of stuff that's kind of helped foster this, or created a fertile ground for the racism was always there, but the emboldening and coming out and feeling happy and content to be able to say that stuff. And especially, I don't know whether, like, I felt very sheltered. I mean, something that I've wanted to say for a while now is, like when, the whole George Floyd thing and direct provision was like kicking off. Somebody talking in the background there.
We're in a park.
We're in a public park. I kind of didn't really have much experience with racism, obviously, as a white man. And I hadn't, I came from, like, I don't know, I don't like,
You wouldn't go away.
Yeah.
What?
I was waiting for these people to move.
Well, yeah, it's really annoying the way check your privilege has become such an odious phrase. Because there's always just the worst, most annoying people who use it.
Yeah.
Because, like, in positions like that, it'd be so nice if there's a way for people to just be like, you say this, but you actually don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that about you, but, like, I definitely said stuff like that where I'm like, some aspect of misogyny is a big deal. And it's like, actually, it really is.
Yeah, yeah.
But, like...
Yeah, because I, like, didn't have that component. I didn't have that exposure to it.
Yeah, I'd never, like, why would I know that? Because I'm not a woman,
Yeah.
But, like, the phrase is so annoying because it's, most of the time nowadays, it's used to shut down conversation. It's just, you're, like, voicing an opinion and someone's going, oh, be quiet,
Yeah, yeah.
But
it is useful. The funny thing is, like, you do need to be reminded. And, like, that video, I, like, I felt like a tremendous pit in my stomach and this feeling of, like, just such embarrassment. Just this feeling of, like, I had no idea that this was happening,
Yeah.
And I felt suddenly like I wanted to just not exist. I didn't want to be on this planet anymore. Like, that there could be such ugliness just in the ether around me. It was literally like how most people must have felt when in America when Trump was elected. This feeling of like, are you one of them? Are you one of the people? Like, I suddenly felt like I don't recognize where I live anymore. Because I always, whether I knew it or not, I had kind of bought into that. There was like perhaps a benign racism or something that was like, people had this kind of, I guess I saw it as like anti-immigrant and kind of stuff like that. I didn't see it as literally like, I see your skin color and I fucking hate you for it, and I did believe that there were people out there like that, but to see that, like, just the violence of it, how disgusting it was. So I guess
and like, it was disappointing to see nobody stand up for that woman.
Well, actually, somebody did in the end. There's, like I said, there's 4 videos, and there's a girl at the front of the bus, and she just loses it. But she doesn't have words to articulate how angry she is. But she does a fairly good job. But like nothing, just water off a duck's back to this person, and this she's like literally yelling, "You're fucking disgusting! You're so disgusting!" And she goes, "You're fucking racist." And the woman's like, "Yeah, I am a racist.
Yeah.
What of it? Why aren't you? You're." And she was like, "You're a fucking traitor." And then, this person goes, "You're a traitor. You're not Irish. Fuck you." You're like just yelling back at this woman, getting so upset. "You disgusting woman." You know what I mean? And she's so upset. But you can see her, like her friend or her partner, or whoever's there with her is like trying to like calm her down. Like, stop. It's fine. Just like, let's just not get involved. Let's just not. And there is definitely that component. The only people who are expected to have a reaction are the people who are getting yelled at, And
have you ever stood up for anyone like that? So I haven't. And sometimes in my head I'm like, I would. I'm like relishing the thought of standing up. But then I also don't really believe that I...
There was one time where I saw this... But it was almost like I'd gaslit myself out of...
Yeah, that's what you do. You're just like... No, she probably likes being screamed at, like, it's only a gay, but that's like, I'm not saying I wouldn't, when I said that, but I think I would, I think it'd be quite hard.
The one time I've seen it, there was like this comic, basically, and when I was in secondary school, and it was laid out on a table, and everybody was trying to gather around and get a look at this comic, okay?
Yeah.
And so there was this black guy, black student who was just standing there looking at it. And then, I'm not going to say it, I'm just going to use the N-word, okay? I'm going to say the N-word, not use the N-word.
It was in the comic or what?
No, it wasn't in the comic. The black guy is just looking at it. And then this guy kind of wants to see the comic, and he just goes, out of the way, N-word. And just kind of like... And it was me and him looking at each other, and we were the only ones that had heard it, because like this group of people were kind of talking and yammering, you know? And I looked at him, and then he looked at me, and we kind of had this feeling of like, did we just hear that, you know? And I couldn't, and I eventually just like said, there's no way he could have said that with everybody not reacting.
Yeah.
You know? And that's the way I kind of talked myself out of that altercation. But then there was another time actually in Tesco like 2 years ago, where I was there, and you know, like the pejorative for a Pakistani person, you know, like this guy was, he referred to one of the guys who was at the till like as like a lazy P word, you know, and he kind of was like looking at the line as if kind of laughing as well, to be like, this kind of fucking guy, yeah, am I right?
Okay.
And he was looking for a reaction, so I just kind of scowled. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And then this old woman behind me was like, no, that's racist. And she started giving out to him. And I suddenly felt very ashamed about my reaction, you know? I was like, fuck, I shouldn't scowl. I should be saying, like, no, you're wrong. You're an idiot. Do you know? It's just, like, I just, you know, want to go through my life without being hassled in the slightest. So anytime, like, one time as well, I was on a train, and this woman tried to pickpocket me.
Yeah.
And she was like pleading with me. She was asking me for money, and I didn't have any. And she was going, "Oh, please," you know. And I was like, "No, I'm kind of not in the mood. So like, I don't have anything. I'm telling you."
Yeah, I'm not in the mood to give you money.
No, I just was like, I was saying I had a really bad day. I just like, I don't have any money, and I'm not trying to fool you. I just really just want to be left alone. And she was like, what was wrong with your day? I was like, no, please, like, I'm fine. And then I could see her hand reaching into my pocket to try and take my phone, and I was like, hey. And then she immediately got very angry, and she stood up and she went like, she's like, the fucking cheeky, you ought to stab you in the neck with a fucking pen.
Wow.
Just screaming at me. And then she went, fuck, and then walked on down the end of the train, and she disappeared into another carriage or compartment.
Yeah.
And there was about 4 people in that train, and they were all just staring dead ahead, and they wouldn't look at me in the eyes.
Yeah.
And they would, like, even when she was gone, to even just go, are you okay?
Yeah.
They wouldn't even do that. And to me, like, a lot of people will say, like, you know, I guess I just have to try and chalk that up. I was like, is it racism? Is it that or is it that I don't want to fucking deal with it because I don't think that because I think if I saw things escalating to a situation like they were on that bus, I would be forced to say something. It's just like, if it comes to a point where your intervention makes things worse, then it's kind of like, I just don't want to do that, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, it is about chalking it up. I know that you maybe have a responsibility, but I really, like, sometimes people are like, you know, to me, it's about the person who's being affected. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
To go over to them and make sure that they're okay.
Yeah, but I think you also do need, like, I'm not saying this as in, I would definitely do this, but, like, there's also a moral imperative to make sure, because even if you're not going to change that person's mind. You're not going to be like, oh, I guess you're right.
Yeah, exactly.
But, like, maybe you would dissuade them from doing it again. So, like, it is important to, like, publicly be like, that's, like, just show, like, respond forcefully. So they'll be maybe less likely to do it, or even just sending...
It is, like, just unfortunate that some of the most stupid and violent people are the ones prone to those outbursts, because you don't know what the fuck's going to happen when you go over and intervene with that, you know? And it's not like I'm saying, like, oh, it's not my fight. It's that I just don't want to get fucking punched in the face. You know?
I know, but that's...
I mean, that's probably being a bad ally, but, you know, it is rough. I mean, like, I feel guilty and responsible, but, like, you know, I'm also that's been my burden, but something forever, which is that I always feel weak and, like, not able to involve myself in these. Like, I feel like I couldn't defend myself if somebody attacked me, do you know?
Oh yeah, like especially, like, Yeah, like it is worrying that you'll get like decked and laid
Yeah.
out, you know. So like, but then, yeah, it is a tough one.
I mean, just what is it worth to you, I suppose, is the thing. And you have to weigh that up. And I mean, like, I definitely, like, before I saw that video and before the discussion that's been going on, I might have actually been less inclined. But, like, the more that people talk about it and the more that I see that it is present, then I it's harder to just be like, look, just walk on. Do you know what I mean? Because this is just, we just got to deal with these assholes. We're living in a world where they exist. And it's not like I agree with them. It's just like, what are you going to do? Whereas now to see like, okay, well, no, actually something does need to be done.
Next time you see it, you just go up to them and you're like, to the person who's been harassed, you'd be like, are you racist?
Yeah.
No. Are you homophobic? No.
Yeah.
Are you transphobic?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, well then you're on your own. You know, you deserve this.
Yeah.
You know, or
the person who's being attacked.
Yeah, and then you ask the other person, like you basically weigh up, and you're like, well, this person's really progressive, but also extremely racist. So this is a tough one.
Yeah, well, the moral ambiguity, you know.
You got to remove all moral ambiguity. Let's just go. You know that what's that film Death Wish?
Mm-hmm.
Let's just do that.
Yeah, let's just go up and
every Dublin bus.
And only on the white people, though, not on, like, that, because that's what Death Wish is about, is pretty much just targeting minorities.
Is it?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's all the kind of, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Less well off.
Is it that sort of thing where it's like, no, they're targeting the thugs, but then it's like, thug is kind for...
Yeah, exactly. There's a bit where I watched a clip from Death Wish 3, which is apparently, like, because Death Wish 1...
Yeah, I've heard they get more and more racist as they go on.
So in Death Wish 3, he has this expensive camera, and he like throws it over.
What?
He's got an expensive camera, so he's holding like a camera over his shoulder. Charles Bronson, and he's just walking around. There's no case on the camera, and he's literally like dangling it out there like bait, as far as he's concerned.
Right.
And so I believe that he. Now I could be wrong, but I could be getting this part wrong. But I believe he like leaves the camera down on the pavement and then ties his shoes or something.
Oh, right.
And a guy runs up, grabs the camera and runs away. And he pulls out like a hand cannon, like literally a gun that is like
just comically.
It's almost like a shotgun, except it's a hand pistol. And he points it at your man who's running away, and then just. I think it could be because it's a conservative thing. He probably that the guy has to turn around to see it because he couldn't shoot him in the back.
Oh yeah,
but
he has to like stand his ground.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
He has to go. Oh shit! And then he gets like fucking blown away.
Really?
And what happens? He goes over and he picks up the camera, or maybe he leaves the camera. But either way, everybody in the neighborhood starts applauding, going like, "Yes!"
That's like me, except instead of a gun, I have, I'm a professional comedian.
Yeah.
So some guy starts attacking me, and I'm like, "You mess with the wrong guy, so I'm going to roast you now."
You pull out the truth.
I pull out like a roast joke, and I'm like, "You look like a pedo with that haircut.
Yeah,
you look like a pedo."
I think that you've...
And they'd be like... And then everyone would applaud. And he'd go, "You got me.
Here's that camera back."
Here's that camera back. And I'm going to become a comedian as well.
Yeah, that's how you do. You get them to join your army.
Yeah.
And your army grows bigger. And soon you have all the racists... Not the racists, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, they're
all the
real
racists joking for you. The real racists are the people... who are the victims of racism.
Yeah.
That pit's getting isolated for a teaser, isn't it? People will be like, he said this on his podcast, Yeah, I can't get my fucking file open to read out the things that I wrote down.
That sucks. But yeah, I like that this podcast is just us trying to figure stuff out.
Yeah.
Because what I would hate is for people to listen to this and be like, I think that we're telling people this sort of stuff.
Yes.
Whereas this is an exercise in reflection.
It is true, because we do basically just have a conversation, and it is But I mean, like, you know, you hear Marin will play like I'm just having a conversation with people. It's
Yeah.
like, no, you're doing an interview.
Yeah.
Whereas we genuinely are like,
Well, we're just like, is racism real?
and then go like months later, oh, I guess it is.
Yeah,
and
I
now
saw.
feel
I saw.
terrible.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, I saw a GIF online that said it's real. I guess that's true.
What was something else I saw? This is so annoying. I had something I really wanted to talk about.
Well, I'll just keep. What else? Oh yeah. Well, how long do we have on this episode? We'll leave that for the next one. I want to talk about the far right marches on. You know,
Yeah,
you want to got
Is
attacked.
kamikaze. We
Yeah,
spoke
let's-
about it live while it was happening. Live. And now we've allowed ourselves to reflect, and we won't make jokes like I just did there 2 seconds ago when I said live, and kind of.
But we'll talk about that in the next one.
In the next one.
Become the patron at patreon.com/Celtic Ligers for more.